busy day in Canberra. To work through it all, Sky News host, National Affairs editor, also at the Daily Telegraph, James Morrow. James, welcome. We'll start with that voice poll. I went through some of the detail at the top of the program from Roy Morgan. The yes vote, yes, has held firm from the previous poll a month ago. So 46% yes, 36% no. But having been in campaigns before, they've had a big advertising blitz. I'm surprised there's been no uptick in the yes vote. I would want to be further ahead, at least into sort of majority territory, 51% or more if I was in the yes camp right now. So not good news for the PM.
Well, it's not good news for the PM, Peter, but I also think that it's really bad news for Australia as a whole. I mean, to have this debate now, and it's now really locked into trench warfare. There's not a lot of movement on either side in this poll where you've got the yeses and the nos. No matter what happens, the PM will have put the country through an incredibly divisive debate entirely for his own political purposes. And if it goes down, it's just going to wind up giving him another cudgel with which to morally hector everybody. But there was some interesting things also in that poll. Labour voters have shrunk back by 10% in their support for the voice. That to me suggests that even, among their core supporters, there is growing skepticism of the wisdom of this proposal. And I think a lot of doubt about that conflation of recognition, as you said, and then tacking on this much bigger bureaucratic entity, the voice, on top of it.
Look, in places like WA and Tasmania, that undecided is really high. So the strength of the advocate's going to matter in those states. We know the Liberal Premier in Tasmania is pro-voice. We know we have a vacuum now, a big voice advocate vacuum in WA with the change of Premier there. Mark McGowan will leave on Friday. Interestingly, Opposition Leader David Crisafulli came out today against the voice in Queensland. Have a listen.
There are two reasons. Firstly, I'm not convinced that the body, the way that it will be enshrined in the Constitution, that there's not a level of risk about its powers. There is a second reason, though, and that is that I don't feel that a voice that is legislated wouldn't be able to achieve exactly the same thing as one that's enshrined in the Constitution without that level of risk.
Do you think the community, I mean, you write for the Daily Telegraph, you're the voice of the people, do you think the community's actually focused on this at all, James? Because I don't reckon they have.
Well, I think they already are, Peter, actually, because I'll tell you what, I wrote about that Roy Morgan poll in the paper today, and when the thing went online, it got hundreds and hundreds of comments. So there are a lot of people who are actually very engaged in Punterland about this, and I think that large undecided vote is really bad for the PM because, besides the old, rhetoric around if you don't know, vote no, the fact is the PM himself hasn't landed, as you said before in your editorial, the PM himself hasn't landed on what this is going to be. Is it just a modest change and just something that, talks about a few things occasionally to the Parliament when it's about certain things, or is it this much broader program of change? And I think most people suspect it's the latter, but they're being sold the former, especially when, they take a look at all at the Uluru Statement, which says voice, treaty, truth. And that's a much bigger agenda than what's being talked about, than this just very nice sort of, oh, let's vote yes, let's all hold hands, kumbaya sort of campaign the government is running.